Welcome to the Business Outlook, where we sit down with visionary leaders shaping the future of business. I'm Ron Crow.
What strategies, challenges, and innovations are driving success in today's dynamic marketplace? I'm Salve Duplito.
Today on the show, we explore the connection between energy poverty and economic growth with global advocacy organization Power for All.
To discuss their mission to address the energy gap and create a more sustainable and equitable future, we have Angelo Valenton, founder and CEO of Power for All. Hi, Angelo.
Hi. Hi, Salve and Ron.
Hi, Angelo.
Thanks for inviting me over.
Thank you for coming over. Now, before we ask you about the services that you offer, we want to know the story behind Power for All. It's 9 years old this year, but how did it all start? What drove you to start this? What was the inspiration?
Okay. Do you have the time? Well, but I was once a corporate animal, and then when I left the corporate world, I decided that to be an entrepreneur, and was making hits and misses with several businesses. And then Typhoon Yolanda came. This was, I think, in 2013. And during that time, our business was like toying on the ideas of consumer solar products, solar lanterns, kits, and so we were doing our best to try to bring this into the supply chain, the retail market. Big failure. Yolanda came, and then all of a sudden we were sucked into a lot of activities related to how to bring in solutions for water and other relief goods, how to overcome the logistical challenges that we faced back then, because everything was offline. The ships, the roads, communications were down. But because we had some experience also in logistics, for instance, so we were able to get a lot of stuff through to places like Tacloban, Cebu, until Palawan. And that experience was an eye-opener for us, because we realized that first, our business model is we're selling solar types of products into urban centers when the market is not there. The market is in rural pala. So that was our first eye-opener. And second, the experience opened our eyes to there's a social aspect in doing business, and where we saw a lot of players, both NGOs, private institutions, even government, really working hard to rebuild immediately after Yolanda. So that kind of really struck deep. It gave us a heart. And so we started a lot of conversations with NGOs, every player who has a say in uplifting people's lives. And over the years, we learned more, we got more immersed, and that became the inspiration to establish Power for All.
That's an inspiring story. Something like this, something good like this, was born out of a disaster.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. But do you feel that time 9 years ago and today, is it very different?
Okay. There are a lot of things that have changed and a lot of things that haven't changed. What hasn't changed is we still continue to have a lot of social inequalities, a lot of environmental ills, where in most cases progress comes at the cost of consuming resources irresponsibly, and also when you put profit ahead, then you think of, does it make sense to bring a power line down to the rural areas, down to the islands? It doesn't make any profitable sense. It's not viable, so let's not do it. So those parts haven't changed. What has changed, though, is that we now live in a time where there's rapid advancements in technology. And technology gets more radical, gets more human, gets more affordable, becomes easier to access. And as long as there's awareness and understanding of these technologies, then you can leverage them to address both social and environmental ills. The other thing that has changed because of information is very accessible now. So more and more people and organizations have awareness towards these inequalities. So yeah, so you have rapid advancements in technology, you have awareness in social environmental skills. That's a very good intersect, and that's where we'd like to operate in.
I feel like, Ron, Angelo, it also feels more urgent now, no, with the LA fires, for example, when these things hurt you in a very personal way.
Yeah.
Then people are more inclined to help out.
That's true. Well, in a sense, I think we have it even worse than in LA, because in LA, those wildfires are like almost one-offs. You have it every so many years. Here in the Philippines, because of our location on the planet, we are a magnet to disasters. So our super typhoons are like a common thing already. It's still summer and we have a super typhoon. We're celebrating Christmas, we have a super typhoon.
Oh, yeah.
We have occasional earthquakes. We have occasional volcanoes.
That's why Filipinos are waterproof.
Yeah.
Angelo, I would want to know more about Power for All. Can you give us maybe examples of the projects you've done in the past? But give us maybe one of the bigger ones that have made, not necessarily big, but those that have made a major impact to where you set it up, most especially to the people and communities.
Right. So as the name suggests, we started in power, and that's why the company is called Power for All, because the intention is if we allow equal access to power, then everyone has a chance to survive, to live, to thrive.
There's a fighting
so
chance. Yeah.
let's, if we can make it available to all. And as we learn more about that space, and the space you talk about, underserved communities, rural, islands, the poorer sector, we also discovered that, or realized that aside from power, water is also a primordial need. So power is a primary enabler, water is also a primary enabler. So after developing and bringing in technologies for power, we also expanded our advocacy into water access also. The things that we've done so far, like we've helped private organizations shift towards carbon neutrality by installing a lot of solar panels across various facilities. We've helped the DepEd and private foundations like One Meralco and some NGOs electrify close to 100 off-the-grid schools. And in the water space, a few years ago, we've introduced the country's first modular water treatment plant in Cavite. A year after that, we built, I believe it's Asia's first potable water reuse facility in Parañaque. This is where you take the water from the effluent from a sewage treatment plant, process it, and turn it into safe drinking water.
Drinking water.
Yeah, it's a bit controversial because it's from your toilet back to your taps. But the science is available to make it happen, and various rigorous tests from the DOH, DNR also confirms that yes, it's safe. So
you're not going to go back to the toilet and add more.
Well, it makes you think twice now of how much you want to throw into the toilet and the sinks and the. But because it comes, it was born out of an urgency of how to access sources for water, water supply. Our conventional sources, such as the dams, Angat, Ipo, they're all fully utilized, and situation gets worse during the dry season. La Mesa, you see the water levels being monitored as they go to critical levels. So the thrust really of more forward-thinking water players is how to look for creative access to water sources.
One question from me. These projects are not cheap. How do you fund your operations?
Oh, okay. So I guess it's a combination of your financial discipline, your strategies, partnerships with your creditors, partnerships also with your customers, so that you can first of all start off with your capital to kick off the project. And you need to have some very good, again, financial strategies to keep the cash flow healthy, particularly if you're building like projects with no or little precedence. Because if the projects have no precedence, then the risks are high.
Yeah.
And I believe there's the trust also with your business partners, our customers, our suppliers, also the banks also help. But for the most part, our funding and capital are self-generated and organically grown. We've not had any attempts to access, let's say, specialized funding for these kinds of projects. And I think if you build a good track record of successful builds, you become you're in good points with your creditors. So the banks say, okay, yeah, we think.
So a mix of equity and debt.
Yeah, you're right.
Just a quick question before we go into a break. I want to know if there has been growing demand for services from Power for All, because with that growing demand, then the funds will come in.
Yes,
but in the past few years, maybe, has there been a growth trajectory in people looking for your services in any community that they want to put it up?
Okay, that's a good question, because if your direction, if your strategy is try to introduce something that is different, something new, something innovative, then again, there's a lot of risks involved, and there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of, let's say, doubts as far as appetite towards these new technologies are concerned. So most players, customers, creditors, they're weary. We don't know what the technology is. We've not seen it. We've not done it before. So we're kind of iffy. So there were these kinds of struggles in the past. So what we did is we had to start with small projects, with pilots, show examples, proofs of concepts, just to build confidence. And I guess one customer or one business partner would take that leap of faith with us.
Yeah.
Okay, we think that's gonna work. We're gonna stick our neck out also for you, and then it goes that way.
Okay.
We'll talk more about gaps that you see in the industry, but for now we're taking a quick break. We'll continue our conversation with Power for All's Angelo Valenton after a few minutes. Keep it here on ANC.
Welcome back. Still with us, Power for All founder and CEO Angelo Valenton.
Angelo, I was going to ask about gaps in the industry now, but before that, for us who are here in Metro Manila, we might not be able to fully appreciate what the situation is in farther parts in the Philippines. Would you tell us exactly what they are? What's the situation out there so that we can appreciate it, or even the CEOs watching us?
In the power sector?
Yes, in the power sector.
So we have two kinds of gaps.
And water.
And water, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe for power first. So we have two types of gaps. In you mentioned in Metro Manila, we don't feel it, but actually we're paying for expensive electricity. And so that, I think, is a gap because our electric rates are among the highest in the region, and it becomes a turn-off for investors in the industrial sector in particularly. And as you know, as you bring in investment, the industry starts moving, there's economic development, and everyone benefits from that. So that's one gap in the urban area. In the rural area, the gap naman is access. So under-serviced or no service at all. And the concern there again is because for the most part our power supply follows a centralized business model where you have large power plants in certain locations, and they distribute over a wide area using distribution networks, transmission lines. But it has to be viable where the lines end up in. There's an investment to bring a cable all the way to an area. So if the big power players say that there's not enough density there, not enough purchasing power there, we're not going to bring the line all the way there. So they end up with no power. So that's a gap.
So
access.
it's not equitable distribution. No?
Yes. So now, so our urban centers get the benefit of all the progress, economic activity, while the rural areas under service are stuck, or like in frozen in time.
No.
So, yes.
A series of questions from me, if you allow me. I'm thinking there may be organizations and companies who are watching right now who might be interested in partnering up with Power for All. Do you customize solutions for organizations who want to set up? Of course, different communities have different needs. Generally, it's power and water, but there may be some areas that may have unique situations. Like what example? Maybe a resort, which is not connected to a main island. Can you customize your services for certain organizations?
I think we already have, like for instance, school off-grid school electrification. It's normally a challenge to bring in a more conventional solar energy setup there, because you're bringing in batteries and solar panels, the logistics. And can you imagine, for instance, a school in an island where the only access is a small boat, so you're unable to bring these equipment. So the logistics, the volume of equipment, and then the technical expertise in the locality is a problem. So we've developed a plug-and-play system. You can liken it to a solar genset. We call it mission power stations. So what that is the whole solar system is put in a portable box, and that is brought to a site, a clinic, let's say a school, on the island in the mountains, and it's plug and play. A solar panel on the roof, a cable attached there to this box, mission box, and then your utilities attached there already. Your computers, your lights, your electric fans, your medical equipment.
So this can be implemented immediately, just in a span of days.
Right.
Just bringing it in would be plug and play.
Correct. So you imagine a big power bank. So it's like that.
Oh wow!
And it has helped organizations like Juan Mabalco Foundation, for instance, accelerate their off-grid school electrification.
Nice.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, again, close to 100 schools, I think, already have been electrified with this kind of system.
Angelo, the cost of range for their services for power and water.
Okay, so it's like this. So there's a difference between standardized and customized and innovation. Innovation at the start really costs some money, and once they get standardized, you get your economies of scale in the factory, and then the prices come down. But standard products are like one standard set of sizes that may not fit all situations. So there will be areas where then you need to customize, to innovate. The cost of that equipment obviously will cost more than something that is mass-produced from the factory.
But give me a base price.
Okay, example. Let's say if a 1 kilowatt conventional solar installation will cost 50,000. Maybe a plug-and-play system will cost 80,000. But then again, it costs more. But more expensive electricity is still cheaper than no electricity. I think, because if you wait for the standard solutions to come in and they don't come in, so when do you start? And again, time keeps moving. Our energized areas are progressing, and you're stuck. So you have to start somewhere. And partners, particularly in the private sectors, also NGOs and government, who do put some investments in these areas, I think are very key players in driving for awareness, introduction, adoption of these kinds of new technologies in underserviced sectors. And it's growing. I think it's growing.
And there's a lot of social impact. I remember reading a story about Agutaya. This is an island off Palawan. There's no power there. So imagine kids, by the time it's 6 o'clock, they can't do their homework because they can't see their books. And once the solar panels were installed, even the parents can start sewing or creating
more productive time
livelihood activities before going to bed. Angelo, what's your unique approach that other organizations like you don't do?
Okay, I guess most organizations are business. So you talk of business, the primary objective of business is to create business and profits. And in our case, we would like to attempt to balance profits and purpose. And we believe anyway that profit comes in different currencies. You have your money profit, people profit, planet profit. And you just, I guess, have to be bold and crazy enough to take the risk and say, no, you know what the hell, viable, not viable, we're going to do it anyway, and then see what happens. Sometimes we get burnt, and sometimes we realize, you know, some fantastic ideas that then snowball into something great. So I guess so we have like a culture in the organization. We challenge ourselves to do things that's never been done before. So that's always our thinking. So if there's a problem, a community doesn't have access to power, to water, healthcare, food security is zero, then sige, let's can we look at solutions that have not been explored before? Can we do a lot of experimentation? Can we try some radical approaches? I guess that's what I think makes our organization unique.
What's your vision? Quickly, Angelo, what's your vision for the company next couple of years?
Okay, for our stakeholders, it's clean power and clean water for all. Our vision for the company is to also be present in other areas. I think where there's a lot of gaps involved in health. Access to healthcare is one, and similar to power, you have two gaps there. One is some people don't have access, and people don't have access to affordable healthcare. Food security also, I think, needs a lot of work. We've been left behind already by our neighbors. We're one of the world's biggest importers of rice, small country on the planet. I think that our agriculture sector also needs a lot of help, and there are transformative technologies that are available out there that we can explore, that we can play around with, do crazy things.
That really sounds like an expansion plan.
Bold and crazy enough to go find the biggest need and do the things that are very radical in nature. Thank you, Angelo.
Angelo, thanks.
Thank you, Ron and Salvi.
That's your Business Outlook. I'm Ron Cruz.
And I'm Salvi Duplito. Keep it here on ANC.
Change on the PUB modernization program is at stake. The progress is being stopped because there are some factories that they have to reconsider. Cost-wise, you cannot manufacture